Hey, everybody, this is Josh McKinney, and I just want to welcome you to episode 78 of the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show.
We've been training. Usually my eyes
Today, I am injured, and it sucks. And I can't train, and I can't do anything, right? Well, that's what I want to talk to you guys today about. I think it's kind of a misconception in jiu-jitsu that if you are injured, you cannot train, you cannot do anything. It's important to be smart, and we're going to talk all about being smart. We're going to talk all about all of it. But first, I just wanted to make sure to mention to you guys kind of the stuff we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about some principles that apply to jiu-jitsu and kind of apply to everyday life and just kind of how to handle situations. And I got in some really cool conversations with my friend Chris Paynes on his podcast called the Villain Cast. I know it's a really cool name for a podcast, but we got into some really cool ideas and thoughts on problem solving in jiu-jitsu. You guys have heard Chris on the I Suck at Jiu-Jitsu show before, and I really recommend that you guys check that out. That is on YouTube. If you search Chris Payne's BJJ, Paines, you will be able to find that. And I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed doing that episode. And we really, really dig in deep to some differences in training and some thought processes around how to train. But I think the coolest part is like the last 20-ish, 25-ish minutes when we start to talk about problem solving. I think it's something that will be helpful for a lot of people. So highly recommend that. But like I was saying, I'm injured and I am struggling to train. This is a question that I got a few times in asking for podcast ideas, little Instagram, YouTube video ideas. And I think it's really tough for people to make the distinction. They think that an injury is an on-off switch. As soon as I get injured, as soon as I get something, I flip the switch down. Some of the only advice that you hear when somebody says they are injured is somebody else will say, "Are you injured or are you hurt?" Which doesn't help anything because I am injured. I'm not hurt. I'm not sore. I have an injury. Right? We can train through that soreness. It's different than actually having an injury that could get worse in training, and will hopefully eventually heal on its own. But sometimes those injuries require surgery and things, and that's kind of a different bag of worms than what we're going to discuss today. What I wanted to kind of just break down is two thought processes. The first is the do not thought process when it comes to an injury, and this applies to any injury that you have in jiu-jitsu. So first off, the do not is you don't come in to train and say, "I'm going to train, but I'm going to train light." The reason we don't do that is because that doesn't exist. There is no train light, meaning like rolling live, but doing it lightly. Because what happens is I say, "Oh, yeah, I'm going to come in and train light though." And I start my first round and I tell my guy, "Oh, hey, my ankle hurts. If you can take it kind of easy on me, I've had this ankle injury or whatever." We slap bump, we start to grapple, and maybe I grab a grip a little too hard, I strip a grip a little too hard, and then my partner starts to do the same, and then he starts to pass a little too aggressively, and then I'm really defending hard for the pass, and I'm doing everything to defend the pass, and then he falls back on an ankle lock on my bad ankle, right? It just progresses, and don't play the victim. Don't be like, "Oh man, I told you my ankle hurt." You know what? If you are rolling live, you are rolling live. Uh, you're kind of, you just cannot live in the imaginary world where, yeah, I'm just going to tell my partner that I am training light and he's going to protect me. And so So I think that's really important to avoid uh, that pitfall that a lot of people fall into, and then they play victim, and oh, my ankles hurt worse because Bradley ankle locked me on my bad ankle. And you know what? If in that situation, you shouldn't be training live, meaning training uh, just in a live round where anything goes. And I'll explain to you how you can train and train hard while injured in just a second when we get to the do's. But we are still on the do nots. Something else uh, that you shouldn't do is you shouldn't just not come at all. There are some injuries that you absolutely cannot do anything with, right? You cannot move, then you probably shouldn't come, right? I still have students that if they have these type of injuries, they still come into the gym and still watch. And the reason this is important is because it's important to stay in your habit of training. It's very hard for people to come back to training after a long layoff, meaning like anywhere in like that 6 to 8 week range. When you start to get there and you haven't been in the gym, it is very hard mentally to say, okay, I'm coming back today. And for a lot of people, there actually becomes a lot of anxiety that comes from that. And so, what I think is kind of important with this is make sure that you're there. You are keeping your schedule as much as you can while injured. And then we get to the do's. Do what you can. This is the principle of jujitsu that we use all the time. If you have my arms and my legs can move, then I will move my legs, right? If you have something else, that's how we look at jujitsu. That's how we look at uh, progressing with things. Is you focus on what you can control, and so for some people, maybe all I can do is the drilling portion of class, and and I can watch instructionals and I can take notes. I'm going to do a podcast in the future about note taking, how to take notes. It may be, yeah, I think it will be a podcast because I think it'll be pretty in depth. I was going to say it may be on just on my Instagram or something. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram at the Josh McKinney, I post. I've been trying to post every day and have been successful at it for a while. Just different thought processes, principles, techniques of jujitsu. Something short and easy and simple to digest that you guys will be able to follow and get better from. You can follow me at the Josh McKinney or on Facebook. I post all the same things in a different aspect ratio on Josh McKinney. It's a fan page. You just like it. Anyway, uh, where was that? What was I talking about? Oh, so if I am, if I'm going in to training, I'm focusing what I can control. And so maybe what I can control is just drilling. Now, maybe, for instance, for me, I have a rib injury right now. And I'm not to the point where I can actually do anything live at all. Uh, all I've been doing is watching some jujitsu video. For me personally, I don't watch a lot of technique video. I like to watch uh, little conceptual videos because it makes me a better teacher. That's kind of what I focus on when I can't train. And very seldom can I not train. Very seldom do I have injuries that I absolutely can't do anything. Right now, I still can't. Every time I kind of move, my rib pops out. And so when that stops happening, when I start to just get some range of motion in my body, how I will come back is I probably won't do repetitive drilling and stuff. I'll drill a little bit to make sure that my body can do the movements that I want, but I'll come back and just play top at first. And that will be how I roll. And I won't just be like, yeah, I'm just going to stay on top of people. I will tell my partners when I'm training, hey, my ribs still messed up. I can't play bottom. So let's just do first score from top, right? I'm not limiting their energy because you just can't predict that. Some people are just going to go too hard in certain spots. You're going to get hurt. But if you limit the position that you're sparring, it makes it way, way easier on you. You have a knee injury. Maybe you can't play top. Maybe you can't play guard. But you guys could positional spar side control. And you could say, man, I can play bottom side control. And you can just ask people to positional spar it. And that's how you train. So you focus on what you can do, what you can get better at, and then you use that to get better. It's very important to have that mindset, and this is back to what Chris Paines and I talked about on his podcast, which was having a problem solving mindset. Not everything in life, very few things in life are black and white, meaning you have yes and no. There is no in between, there's no gray area. It's very important to understand that training is not black and white. Training is not, this is the way to train. There is no other beneficial way to train. If it was, we wouldn't have all kinds of different schools with all kinds of different thought processes of training, all making good grapplers. Uh, it's very, I think that there are probably things that are better than others, of course, but that does not mean that it is the only way. And so, what did we learn from watching The Mandalorian season 2? He's starting to see that this is the way, it's not the only way. Sorry, that was kind of a nerdy reference, but it's a great show. I don't know. For some reason, shows like that really seem to attract jujitsu people. I think because I talked about this in a podcast a long time ago when I had Jamie Kilstein on. We talked about how many nerds there are in jujitsu, whether pro wrestling nerds, which is me, comic book nerds, also me, cooking nerds, also myself, but just people that like to obsess about things. I think it's because jujitsu is just something that you can dive into and obsess about for me almost 13 years now, and I still feel like I'm learning new things and learning new ways to explain things and getting better all the time. And so it's cool to be able to nerd out about things. That's why I think we like that the personality type that loves jujitsu tends to love what would be considered nerdy type things. But just back to the thoughts on injuries, it's really important too that we have training partners that we can trust. If I have when I come back from my rib injury, I will only train with my higher belts for the first 3 or 4 weeks until I know that I'm completely safe. Because I don't need somebody who I don't train with often that maybe kicks me in the ribs or something. I think that you have training partners that you can trust, and you also have these conversations with training partners. I think it's so important to getting better is having the right training partner. Something that I talk about with my students as it pertains to heel hooks is I will always tell them like, hey, I wouldn't trust anybody else with this, but if I put you in a heel hook, I will not wrench it. I will keep it and apply pressure slowly and always be controlled on it. Make sure that you use when you're going with me to practice your late defenses of those positions, because when I'm attacking these positions, I promise you I will not go hard on them. You'll always protect you on it. And so I think that having people that you can have those conversations with, that you can trust, is incredibly important, because we're all trying to get each other better. And so if we have somebody that is injured at our gym, our goal is to try to get them better while they are injured. Because when they're not injured, you don't want them falling off. You don't want them being like, man, I'm so far behind, I don't want to come back. And you want them to be getting better. So then you have people to train with to get better. That is kind of a weird thing in jiu-jitsu, is we're all investing in each other constantly so we can get more from our training partners. And so that is kind of my thoughts for you guys today. It's a shorter episode. I have another solo episode planned for next week. I haven't filmed it yet, so it may turn into being an interview. And then for episode 80, I have one of my brown belts coming on again, Eric Huebner, who I think people really enjoyed the podcast that we did the last time. It's one of maybe like top 3 to 5 most feedback I've ever gotten on an episode, because he, at the very end of the episode, we started talking about kind of mental toughness in training and competition. And I would say that when it comes to mindset of competition, he is the best person that I've ever talked to. And so on that episode 80, that'll come out in two Thursdays from now, 2 weeks from now. Uh, you guys will be able to get kind of a glimpse into that. We've already recorded it, and there's something super special about that episode that I cannot mention yet, but I think you guys will really enjoy that episode. I think it'll be really fun for you guys. And so that is all I have for you guys today. I hope that this episode was good for you. I hope that it helps you guys out. I hope you guys start to progress a little bit better. And I hope that it helps you suck just a little bit less at jujitsu.